We are here with the wonderful Rashida Davison. You are an activist, you are an artist, you're a filmmaker. So we met a few years ago, right after the riots in Ferguson. You put on a couple rallies, a couple actions throughout the years with C. Buster Ferguson. Can you talk about C. Buster Ferguson, like how that got started in the first place?
Well, yeah, that actually came from, there was a Tumblr page as far as like national actions in response to whatever decision was going to come out of Ferguson. And me, Timothy Sinclair-Tavon, and my friend Sarah Green, we were looking online and we saw that there wasn't anything for Columbus yet. I think we saw something for Toledo and Cleveland and Cincinnati, but Columbus didn't have any actions planned. So pretty much we were like, well, let's just go on and throw something together. We created a Facebook page and we used the hashtag #CBusToFerguson as our Facebook event, and it just kind of grew from there.
And so, like, how did you guys meet in the first place? Were you all friends before C. Buster Ferguson, or like, how did that work out?
Yeah, so I met Tim at OSU. He did labor organizing, and I was doing organizing with Shades, which is an organization for LGBT people of color at OSU. So our paths kind of crossed in organizing around those issues. Me and Sarah, we actually met pretty recently working in film. They're a writer, and I do cinematography.
Do you remember the first action that you guys put on in the city?
At C. Buster Ferguson?
Yeah, C. Buster Ferguson.
Yeah, the first one was in response to the Ferguson actions that were happening, in solidarity with that. So we pretty much met in Franklin Park, the amphitheater, and we marched from there to the Board of Internal Affairs here in Columbus to not only draw attention to the issues happening in Ferguson, but also the issues here in Columbus as far as police brutality. And then after that, in December, there was another action because the officer who killed Eric Garner also got off. So that was in response to that. And we marched from Goodell Park to CPD headquarters.
It's kind of fascinating that the fact that nothing has really changed in those 2 years. Like, not just, we know change takes a long time, but still there's no accountability, there's no responsibility from police departments to at least admit that they make a mistake. I mean, like, what was your interaction with our current police chief? Has she been responsive to anything, any of your demands that you guys made over the past 2 years?
No. Kim Jacobs has been in denial since like day one, for real. And the interesting thing is, you know, when we had our March to Internal Affairs, CPD was just bragging about how they're one of the best, like, police forces in the nation, best in the state, and, you know, drawing attention to what was happening in Cleveland and saying, well, Columbus is not as bad as that. But just this year alone, how many people have been killed by the cops in Columbus?
Exactly.
Right? We have Tyree and we have Henry Green, and they're still in denial, even with all this that's happening now. Absolutely.
And I remember, you know, when I started my group back then, you know, we told City Council this was going to happen. Either you change police culture, or it's just a matter of time before you have these murders happen, and they have happened this year. I mean, it happened before, but, you know, these ones, of course, were really high profile.
Exactly.
So as far as, like, you know, 2016 going into 2017, where does C. Buster Ferguson stand? I mean, you guys rallied hundreds, thousands of people over the past 2 years. You know, yeah, what's the future look like?
Well, C. Buster Ferguson is a network of organizers, not necessarily like an organization, right? So a lot of us come from different organizing backgrounds, like I said, LGBT organizing, student organizing, labor organizing, all these different facets. So a lot of us are involved in organizing in different ways now. So we have our student organizers who helped with the sit-in at OSU and the march down to Goodell Park, and then the march down to police headquarters. They're doing organizing through the OSU Coalition for Black Liberation. We also have people like Ripley, shout out Ripley, who's doing organizing here in Columbus as well. A lot of us are also artists, so we're thinking of ways to, like, how do we organize, how do we talk about Black issues through art? So it's kind of like morphed, I guess you could say, our involvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely see that. I interviewed Ripley a while ago, and make sure you guys check that out when that does get posted. But also, you mentioned Tim earlier, and Tim actually produced a film, and I hope to get Tim on here as well. And so I had no idea he was also in film. So like I said, it hasn't necessarily disbanded, but people have kind of drifted towards other movements, other groups, and they're still working. They're still out here, just in different forms, pretty much. Okay.
Yeah. And another really big thing is we have all this organizing. We're bringing hundreds and hundreds of people out after all these cops are getting off, right? And it can be really draining.
That's right.
We know what happened with Marshawn. He took his life because stuff that was going on in his life, and also stuff that's happening on a social, political level. Organizing consistently back to back to back and kind of not seeing things change very much can be very draining.
Absolutely.
So there have also been a lot of us who are focusing on self-care and making sure that we recenter ourselves,
And that's an important topic, self-care, because we do get burnt out doing this work, and you get a lot of criticism from people. Oh, why is it so quiet now? Why aren't people doing anything? And it's you got the same people holding the entire, carrying this whole burden, and after a while, people are going to get tired. They're going to take a break. They have to take a break. They should take a break. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And like you said, after Marshawn's passing, self-care has really been on the forefront of my mind, a lot of other people's minds. And I think we need to do a better job as organizers, as activists, of taking care of each other. I think we're too focused on achieving goals, right? And then not about, how is this person next to me? Are they okay? Are they fine? How are they doing? And so I don't know. I hope we can get there. But that's one thing I really want to focus on. I think one thing that personally too I'm doing better of is just checking on people and not so concerned about, did we get this done? Did we get that done? And the future of the movement. Because I think personally, we can take care of a lot of these issues if the community is built first.
Exactly.
Right. So it's if you're interested in each other, if you get that stake in each other, we care about each other's health and well-being, we're going to always be there, and whatever obstacles there is going to get accomplished. You don't have to convince me to take down that thing. It's if you're hurting with it, if you're getting hurt, I'm going to go and help you too.
Yeah, and one thing that we had talked about at the vigil after he had passed was I think a lot of times people don't see activists as people. They just see us as, tools to get certain goals accomplished, So I was really emphasizing, as much as people reach out to us to ask when the next action is or, where they can get this and that resource, it's also important for them to ask, how are you doing? Is there something I can do for you? Are you taking care of yourself? Have you had anything to eat? Have you slept? Things like that. And we're making a point to also check in with each other in those ways. So.
And I think too, maybe we should be more comfortable about really saying how we feel, because the standard saying is I'm fine, right? That's our culture. We just say we're fine, but we're not honest, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know actually how we can be more vulnerable, be more comfortable being more vulnerable. I don't know how that's going to change. Do you have any? I don't know. You have any ideas on that?
I don't know. Honestly, it's just going to come with practice,
So one of the things too that when I helped you organize a lot of these events in the past was a lot of agitation by CPD or people trying to infiltrate the group and stuff like that, especially online. Can you speak to all those hurdles of people trying to disrupt See Buster Ferguson?
You said online?
Yeah, because I think like the Facebook events and things like that, people would try to find out what was going on and all that kind of stuff. Did you experience any disruption by outside forces?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very aware that the cops, the feds, monitor Facebook events. So there would always be every event there would be that one person who would be so are we going into the street? So asking for way too many details online, and when you're organizing, you don't want to put too much information out there because they'll find any reason to try and lock you up for real. And even at actions, they'll find any reason, so you definitely don't want to put so-called evidence out there. So yeah, I've definitely seen those random questions on Facebook events. You also have people who will try and like argue with you on a Facebook event, like, why is this focused on black people, you know, what about white allies and stuff like that. People who usually don't even end up showing up to the event. They're just trying to find a way to tear it down in some way or another.
I mean, looking back, you know, over these past 2 years, what was the most challenging part of organizing? I mean, the self-care was one, just not burning yourself out. What was the other challenges?
Whew, I think the biggest thing is, this kind of relates to the allies. I've talked to allies about this. One of the biggest challenges is like realizing that not every black person has the black community's best interest in mind. You know, you just expect somebody shows up to an event and they're black, or they add you on Facebook and they're black, they're down for the cause. So not everybody's down for the cause. A lot of people are very pro-administration, like anti-action, you know. A lot of people will show up to an event and say, yeah, we want to be in this meeting with CPD or, you know, OSU administration, what so have you, and then end up derailing the whole conversation. And that was their plan all along. So that was definitely really frustrating. Yeah, that was definitely a big thing.
And so, I mean, I'm definitely appreciative of all the hard work you put in these past couple of years I've known you. You know, I mean, at least I feel like you guys really got that whole like massive action rally thing popping off in the city. That's just my opinion. But
I mean, a big part of that was like, we have been doing organizing years before that, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these people who showed up, like, they were people we met through maybe their action, showing up and helping them out. Or like, I used to work, like do events at the rec centers in Columbus. Like, I worked with black youth. Like, you know, we already had this space. So when people asked us, or when we asked people to show up, they knew that we were people they could rely on. You know, it wasn't just suddenly like, let me add everybody on Facebook and invite people. Like, there was already that groundwork done.
that's always one thing I always wonder too, because I look at the Facebook events, and I'm like, how do they get 2,000 people, 5,000 people invited? 1,000 are showing up, 800 are showing up. You know, yeah, right. As soon as you approach that event, you know, you got 700 people showing up saying they're coming. I'm like, how do they? I don't know how they do this. It's like magic. But like, it just goes to speak to all the hard work and groundwork you guys put in, because you said you already established these networks. You already put the footwork in, and so now when you just press that button on the internet, voila, it's already there.